over-delivers. Man, this episode over-delivers. We've got carburetor versus EFI. We got throttle body showdowns. We've got ported versus stock intakes. We got brand-to-brand shootouts. We even got a bunch of carb spacers. And best of all, a very junkyard-style low-butt combo for power with a Mopar 5.9 Magnum. All of that. Boom! There is so much to learn here. Let me tell you where it all begins. Right here, the Mopar Magnum V8 small block. It is very similar to the LA architecture of the old muscle car engines that you know. It's got some different stuff that Dulcich is gonna tell you all about. But the thing of it is, this is the easiest small block Mopar to find in the junkyard, bar none. As a matter of fact, it's the easiest of any Mopar V8 that you're gonna find. And so that's why you wanna pluck this thing out and figure out how to make power with it. And in this episode, we're gonna show you how to make power with it. It's not gonna be huge power, but it's gonna be practical power that will work in your car. This engine is a 5.9 version. They had both a 5.2 318 and the 5.9 360. There's also a V6, but who worries about that? So this is in fact a Mopar Performance crate engine from back in the day, but it's nothing more than a stock 5.9 long block. We've added an LA front cover to it because that helps with putting on electric water pump and accessories and things. The camshaft in it has been upgraded, but it is minuscule. It is a comp cams hydraulic roller. The duration at 50 thousandths tappet lift is 212 and 218. So that's dinky. Right now we've got the thing configured with a stock throttle body, the stock kegger EFI intake manifold, and it does have a set of headers on it that are a 1 3/4 inch tube, probably a little bit big for what we're doing here, but they're the headers that we had from Hooker. Now let me tell you about all of the tests that we're going to do here. First of all, you could have this engine in your Jeep Grand Cherokee or your Durango or your Dakota or even in a full-size truck. And if you do, you've got that intake manifold right there, which is the very first port-injected thing available on a Mopar V8. They call it the kegger. It's got really long runners in it. We know it's good for low-end torque, but can we improve it with a modified and ported manifold? And we'll show you all those details from a company that is called UT Awesome. The other thing about UT Awesome is that they make this throttle body with a big oval-shaped blade in it, and we're gonna compare that against the stock throttle body that has 2 separate holes in it. We're also gonna get into a carbureted intake manifold comparison, so you're gonna be able to see carbureted manifolds versus ported versus out-of-the-box EFI. The carbureted manifolds are a Mopar M1 dual plane. This is an older design, not available anymore. It's a low-rise dual plane. We also have our favorite dual plane, the Edelbrock RPM air gap. Now on top of that comparison, we're also gonna be doing carburetor spacer testing. We've got a 4-hole spacer that we know adds power to the M1 intake and is in fact required because the carburetor won't bolt to it without the linkage hitting stuff. So you gotta have a spacer. So in truth, we're gonna have to then test the Edelbrock intake manifold and decide where we're gonna go with carburetor spacers for that. So we've got even testing. So you also end up with a carburetor spacer shootout, 4-hole versus open. And on all of the manifold and spacer testing, we're gonna be using that carburetor, which is a brawler from Holley. It is a 750 CFM double pumper from their Lowbuck line. Whew, that is a lot of stuff. It's gonna be really good. I'm gonna sit down now with the guys because Steve Dulcich has a lot of information about what makes this different than an older LA engine and swappable into your muscle car. The other guy I'm gonna talk to is Richard Holdner, who you know from YouTube and from lots and lots of dyno testing. He is sitting in for Steve Brule this time. Steve will be back, but we do have the Holdner expertise because let's be honest, he has like stolen my mantle from 20 years ago of being the ultimate junkyard scrounger, and he'll tell you all about Magnums in junkyards. All right, man, let's let her rip. Okay, the classic Engine Masters intake manifold test. But before we get into those specifics, I want to ask both you guys about Magnum stuff. And he's going to give us the opus. But I want to ask you, as the current reigning champ in junkyard scrounging among the three of us, how common are these things?
You can find lots and lots of Magnums. Every time you walk out there, you'll see the rows. I always go to the truck stuff because that's where we find all the motors. So in the truck stuff, you're going to find lots of Magnums in the Ram trucks and, you know, Durangos and that kind of thing, all of that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I could just go in the parking lot and find one of those in my Durango.
Probably could.
And if we need parts, we know where to go, right?
When it comes down to it, 383s are gone, 440s don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
This is the optimum current Mopar dirt cheap junkyard motor.
That's the one you'll find.
Okay. But I've never messed with one because it's not a typical old 318 or 340. The Magnum has some differences. Steve Dulcich.
Okay, I'll start from the bottom. The oil pan, it's not notched out at the top of the half moons front and back, so an interchangeability problem there. Actually, the Magnum win. Balance, it's got a different balance factor than a 360, so it's a unique balance on the 5.9 Magnum. Camshaft has a different nose because they got rid of the mechanical fuel pump, so it doesn't have the eccentric and that extended nose you get on an LA engine. The heads, of course, the Magnum head was a unique casting. It had completely revised ports, intake and exhaust. Out of the box, maybe the Magnum has an edge over the LA, but ultimately an LA head can be modified to a greater extent than this.
But you can't interchange the heads because of pushrod oiling on this versus rocker shaft oiling on the LA engine, right?
Right, you can put Magnum heads on any LA engine.
Go one way, but not the other.
So our baseline here is a stock barrel intake manifold, stock everything except for a camshaft and headers, right?
Yeah, this motor is a Mopar Performance Crate motor. It was originally rated at 300 horsepower with the carburetor. And what we've done, obviously, we put a mild cam in it. It's got a comp cam 212, 218 kind of thing, a 264 cam, basically.
That's not mild, that's non-existent.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this is the camshaft is mild, but it's purposely done that because if you were going to run the kegger intake manifold, you'd run it with a mild cam.
Oh, for sure, because the long runner and all that
exactly.
stuff.
So we'll see that thing's designed to promote low-speed torque. The cam should work fairly well there. The header should work fairly well there, so we'll see what happens.
All right, let's get down to facts. Fired up, let's see a baseline curve.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Congratulations, Richard. We have not had an engine making less than 1 horsepower per cubic inch in a long time.
That's the win.
Stop, Freiburger.
What?
We've got a ways to go before we're ready to put this to bed. I mean, it's going to get better.
Really?
I hope we're starting low and then shooting high, right? Yeah.
Let's have a look at my critique of the
Wow.
power curve.
This thing is the right cam.
Whoa, all right, look at the torque. 403.5 pound-feet of torque, coming in nice and early, and 326.6 horsepowers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a lot of torque when you look at specific torque, but the curve is weighted quite a bit towards the low end. So.
Oh, it's a nice engine. It's a truck motor.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the stock kegger. Next up, we got to go to the modified one, yeah?
Yes.
All right, let's go have a look at that thing and then install it.
Boom.
What I've done here is I've removed the bottom plate from the stock and the modified intake manifolds to show you the secrets of what they've done here as far as modifications. Speaking of the bottom plate, here's the one that goes with the modified intake manifold. It's pretty hard to miss this big thing here. I think this is some kind of flow diverter because we have the throttle body positioned centrally here and all the air has to make its way to either side. So conceivably, what this does is turn the air towards the outside extremities of the plenum and helps airflow. Now, when you look at the stock manifold, you can see this plenum area is basically open. It's got a center divider, whereas this manifold is modified with these baffles, which effectively reduce the plenum volume. A lot of guys will go in here and fill that all up solid, but the baffle plates do exactly the same thing without all of that filler material. The next thing you'll notice is the modified intake has cutback runners. If you look at the stock manifold, the runners here at the entrance is in pretty close proximity to where the bottom plate's going to rest. So air is going to have a tough time finding that opening. Here the runners are cut back. That should improve airflow, and it also shortens the runner length, which tends to help power at higher RPM. It's not cut back that much. I'm not expecting too dramatic of a result in that aspect of it. You might also notice that the stock manifold has two openings for a 2-barrel throttle body. This one has this kind of oval shape or rectoval shape, which allows a far, far greater area for airflow. I also noticed that they actually ported the runner. You can't get all the way around the shape of those runners because it goes from right here all the way around to right there, and no carbide is going to reach all that when you're porting it, but the size has increased quite a bit anyway. Our next little comparo is the stock throttle body, 2-barrel, versus the big oval. I think the big oval throttle body here is custom 3D printed for this application. But first, we're going to try the stock throttle body on the modified intake manifold.
All right, we have the ported manifold on with the stock throttle body. We're gonna run it, then we're gonna swap throttle bodies to the aftermarket one, run it again, and look at all the data at once. We're gonna pull off the stock throttle body and install the one from UT Awesome Performance.
UT Awesome?
Awesome.
Wow!
What we're going to be able to do here now is compare the stock kegger manifold to the modified kegger manifold with the stock throttle body. So the first numbers that we've got up here are the modified intake stock throttle body, and we made 412.2 pound-feet of torque and 330.1 horsepower.
So let's see how it compares to the stock one, the moment of truth. Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh. Nice mod.
Yeah, we picked up big power there, huh?
That is everywhere. So the black lines here are that modified UT Awesome intake manifold, and red is stock. That's actually pretty good.
And the interesting thing is it's on the bottom.
Yeah, look where it picked up. Just basically everywhere. Got some railroad track thing going on there.
Yeah.
You would want to say that it had better airflow, except for that it was a bigger gap down at the lower RPM.
Yeah.
So something else is going on there, and we know that it's not that they shortened the runner. Well, it could be that they shortened the runner length. It might be more optimized for this particular RPM and camshaft.
2,500 though. Look at the torque gains down there. It's pretty impressive.
That's interesting, given that they shortened the runner length, that we see torque gains like that. I think that bodes well.
What does the gap say right here? What's the improvement? Roughly 10 numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 numbers? That's a good mod.
Yeah.
And especially torque. I mean, if you're jumping all that, you're gonna feel all that. All that's gonna be good stuff that you're gonna be using all the time.
Yeah, I give that credit. But I think the big throttle body also helped.
Sounded like.
Now what we're looking at is blue is the stock intake manifold, black is the modified one, and red is the modified one with the UT Awesome big oval throttle body.
Big throttle body for the win, baby.
Horsepower.
And it is showing a tendency for airflow improvement by the fact that there's not much of a gain down here, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you give RPM.
That's what we expect from a big throttle body. That's the quintessential change that we see, and that's what we always see.
So our final power numbers that are the best we've seen so far are with that massive throttle body on the ported intake, 414.2 pound-feet of torque and 337.1 horsepower. Next step is going to be carbureted intake manifold with the Mopar Performance M1 dual plane. Got to make the swap.
Let's go.
Okay.
Kegger guys, I apologize in advance.
Carburetor.
Let's have a look. Here comes carb power.
Yeah, carbureted power.
The shape of this thing's even different. It's 409.7 pound-feet of torque, and wait for it, 350.6 horsepower. Still not 1 per cubic inch, but closer.
I was gonna say, we're getting close though, right?
Yeah, let's have a look at that Kegger in comparison. And to be fair, we gotta go Kegger with the big old throttle body. All right.
Wow.
Forded Kegger in red actually is showing them something down here, as you would expect based on runner length. You can see a lot more torque from the Kegger here, but then again, you get above 4,500 RPM, and the carbureted M1 is just walking away from it with those lines that are in black.
Charging on the big end all the way out to 5,500.
That's a lot.
Realistically, manifold designed for a truck.
Exactly.
But then again, that's not really a manifold designed for top-end power with the M1 dual plane, and
Well,
it's still doing it.
Top end is relative here, 5,500
It is, you're right,
RPM.
5,500. That's a story all about runner length right there.
Yeah.
It's a test of EFI versus carburetor, but I think it's a perfect moment to talk about what EFI allows you to do in intake manifold design. The reason all of these OEs are using that Kegger type intake is that with EFI, you can get away with that long of an oddly shaped runner because you're only flowing dry air. A carburetor, like the wet fuel, the wet air, is not gonna get there from here.
Yeah.
Realistically, for your typical application, if you want low-end torque, and you have a carburetor, you're gonna buy one of these dual plane intake manifolds. But
Right.
the fact is, it's still not as good as an OE long runner EFI intake. Regardless, we gotta go change the intake manifold, so we're gonna remove the M1 and install an Edelbrock RPM air gap. Yeah?
Yeah, let's go.
Carbulator incoming. Our peak power numbers are improved, 423.3 pound-feet of torque, and the horsepower is 361.2. Go ahead and overlay it.
Yeah.
If it wasn't clear to you, the black lines here are the air gap, and red is the M1 with the spacer. Obviously, the air gap's the better intake manifold. So peak to peak, what's the difference in torque? So that is 10.6.
Well, the great thing is there's like no downside to the Edelbrock intake.
None.
Better
over
everywhere.
the Mopar one.
100%. One thing I should mention to you is that we tested this off camera without us looking at power numbers, and we did have to take 3 jet sizes out of each end of the carburetor in order to lean it out for this intake manifold. So we did have to rejet it to get where we are right here, but that's only fair. The air-fuel curve is roughly the same between the 2 intakes.
But the question here is, this is maybe not a fair test.
Why?
What do we need to
Spacer.
do to make it fair?
Oh, well, of course we're adding the spacer. That was a given going in.
Yeah,
Are we
exactly.
adding the Richard spacer or the Freiburger spacer?
I think we need to go both ways and see who does better.
Here comes 4-hole spacer underneath the carburetor.
Let's go.
Then we gotta go install my open spacer on there, and we're gonna make more power than Richard. Okay?
So easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Spacer!
Guessing you're proud of your 4-hole now, right?
Look at all that big power.
Big power means 425.1 pound-feet of torque, and the horsepower, 361.7. Call up the curve. So what we're gonna compare right now is the air gap intake with no spacer at all versus the Holdner Signature Series.
Yes, look at
4-hole.
that.
That
That's
is
huge
basically
power.
a wash.
Huge
You
power.
don't see stuff like that just every day.
Let's have a look at my open spacer.
All right, let's see what's going on.
Oh!
Dang!
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
kind of a backhanded win, I have to admit, because that's not a choice that I would make. What you're seeing here is the red line is the 4-hole spacer, the black line is the open, and that means that Torque-wise, the 4-hole destroyed the open spacer, but the bet was what was going to happen up top, and as you can see, the open spacer is better up top. Usually, it doesn't give away this much. Usually, it's giving away things down here.
Huge.
That's huge.
We saw when we were having to tune this that we saw a big change in like low speed response from the carburetor. We had to put a bunch more jet in it with the open spacer just to get the thing so that it wasn't too lean to even load into the throttle.
Which is super common. If you put an open spacer on a deal like this, you most of the time need to deal with the carburetor jetting because it'll lean it out with the spacer and you got to put the jet back in it, which we did off camera. All right, so let's conclude. And by conclude, I mean we need to look at the best curve with a carburetor, which I believe is actually the 4-hole combo, compared with the best curve with the kegger, which is going to be the modified kegger.
All right.
Oh,
yeah, look at that.
Yeah. Interesting. Black line is the modified kegger with the big throttle body. The red line here is the best curve we saw with the carburetor, which was with the RPM intake and the 4-hole spacer. And that is a radical difference. There's no world where I would be driving around with the kegger in this situation.
No.
Final hard conclusions. The ported kegger actually worked. The throttle body actually worked. The M1 dual plane is nothing compared to the Edelbrock air gap. The spacer makes power, but it's harder to tune. Your 4-hole spacer makes more torque than my open spacer. What did I miss?
That I'm $20 lighter now?
Yeah, all good with that. And you know what? As you should be on every single episode of Engine Masters.
I stand tall, the world at my feet. Every dream that I dare to see. The sun burns bright on my skin. This is the victory I'm meant to win. No one can tell me I can't climb. I've conquered peaks, it's all mine. At the summit, I'm on top. No one can stop me, no, I won't drop. I've earned this place, I've paid the price. This is the moment I've reached my Every challenge, I've crushed the stone. Now I stand